You know that big idea you have? The one that kind of keeps you up at night, but then you look at your life and think, when? Well, this is for you. We're not going to try and find more hours in the day, because that's impossible. We're going to talk about how to build your dream in the borrowed moments. So you've got the spark, right? That little what if that just won't quiet down. But then when you think about actually doing it, it's like a wall just pops up. It feels huge, overwhelming, maybe, yeah, even impossible. That stuck feeling, you're not alone. It's totally normal for anyone trying to create something from scratch. And let's be real, it almost always boils down to these two giants. First, the feeling that you just don't know enough. And second, that nagging little voice in your head that whispers, "Are you sure you can do this?" These feelings are real, they're valid, and honestly, they stop so many incredible ideas in their tracks. So I want to tell you a story, and it starts from a place of, well, knowing absolutely nothing. This isn't one of those stories about someone with a fancy business degree and a perfect plan. Nope. This story starts right here admitting I had no idea what I was doing. And just to paint a little picture of what starting from zero looked like, imagine being 7 months pregnant with two toddlers literally running circles around you. You know, a time when things like energy, free time, and just quiet mental space are pretty much non-existent. It was the absolute perfect excuse to say, "I'll get to it later." But that's not what happened. The thing that changed everything wasn't some formal education or a magical chunk of free time appearing out of nowhere. It was a really simple but powerful mindset shift. It was deciding to become a learning machine, right there in the margins and the overlooked pockets of the day. And here's what that actually looks like. It's not about finding 4 hours for some intense study session. It's about nap time becoming reading time. It's about the time you spend doing dishes becoming a podcast masterclass. Folding laundry? That's your new time to watch a YouTube tutorial. It's about finding people who are just a little bit further ahead of you and soaking up everything they've learned. And this right here becomes the mantra you live by. The goal is not perfection. The goal is just momentum. Taking one tiny, messy, imperfect step forward is a million times better than waiting around for some perfect moment that, let's be honest, is probably never going to show up. Okay, so now let's get into the real battleground, the one that happens in your head. We're going to face those inner critics head on and completely bust the 4 biggest myths that are telling you all the reasons you can't do this. Myth number 1, the big one, that paralyzing fear of failure. You imagine pouring your heart and soul and all this precious time into something, and then what if it just falls flat? That thought alone is enough to make you never even start. But let's reframe this. What if failure isn't actually the end? What if every single stumble, every little misstep is actually just data? It's not a stop sign. It's just your GPS recalculating the route. The only way you can truly fail is if you stop learning from it all. So we have to make this switch. We have to go from the old view where failure is this terrible final thing to this new view where failure is just feedback. See, in this new way of thinking, it's quitting that's the opposite of success, not stumbling. Every fail is just information telling you what to tweak next. All right, myth number 2, and boy, is this one real for busy moms. You look at your day, at everything you have to do, and starting a business feels like trying to fill a swimming pool with an eyedropper. The progress can feel just painfully slow. And let's just be honest about it. We're not going to pretend it's fast. Yes, building something you care about in the margins of life is slow. But the most important part of that phrase, slow growing, is the word growing. You are still moving forward. And that's where this whole strategy comes into play. These borrowed moments, that 15 minutes while the kids are napping, the 20 minutes while you're doing dishes. These are your secret weapon. By themselves, they don't feel like much, but you string them together day after day, and they start to compound into real, actual progress. Okay, next big hurdle, the money question. Myth number 3 is this idea that you need a huge pile of cash just to get an idea off the ground. You scroll online, you see other people making big investments, and you think, well, I guess I'm out before I even start. Let me be as clear as I can be. The answer is no, absolutely not. You do not need a lot of money. What you need is to be resourceful. There are so many free and cheap ways to learn, to test, to build. The whole key is to just start with what you have right now, instead of waiting for the resources you think you need. And finally, our 4th myth. This is the one that says motivation is supposed to be this magical, constant feeling. Well, it's not. There are going to be days, maybe even weeks, where you feel like you are pushing a giant boulder uphill and you just want to let it roll back down. So, how do you keep going? Well, you see, motivation isn't something you find, it's something you build. And you rebuild it actively. You do it by getting back in touch with why you started. You do it by actually stopping to celebrate the tiny wins. And maybe most importantly, you do it by finding your people. Seriously, this is everything. The people who make it aren't the ones who are immune to self-doubt. No way. They're the ones who have a support system for when that doubt creeps in. Having a community, a few business besties in your corner to cheer you on, it changes the entire game. So when you start to really use those margins and you start to bust these myths one by one, you realize something. You're not in a sprint. You're playing the long game. And shifting to that perspective makes all the difference. Even if it takes way longer than you hope it will, the journey itself changes you. You're not just building a business. You're building new skills, you're building confidence, you're building a whole new version of yourself. And one day, you're gonna look back and be so incredibly proud of how far you've come. And maybe this is the most powerful thought of all. Just think about your future self for a second. Is she gonna be looking back so grateful that you took a chance on this idea? Or is she gonna be looking back with that nagging feeling of regret, always wondering, what if? So that's what I wanna leave you with. Let's not worry about the whole 10-step plan. Let's just focus on one thing. What is your first, small, imperfect step? What's one thing you can do today in one of those borrowed moments to get started?